Welcome back. This is Jeff Byers and this is Andy 255, and we are gonna finalize our last assignment. This is gonna be our mini assignment, Total Destruction, and we are going to go ahead and create a wrecking ball, a brick wall, kind of a brick wall fence, and a cable and some ground. So again, just a flat plane. You guys know how to model, so I'll let you do your thing. This is centimeters, so you can see my grid here. This is how big the scale is. Of course, your simulation may be a little different depending on your scale. Again, I'm in centimeters. This is default grid. And you can see that I went a little bit bigger with my bricks. Okay, you want to use the same technique. What I ended up doing is using a AI standard surface material, a brick color. I have a gap for each one of those. If you go to the front view here, you can see the gaps that I have here. Okay, so I looked at a brick scale, a brick size, and I have that gap right here, as you can see. Okay, if the larger the gap, the more jumbled the bricks will be when they fall. So just keep that in mind. You might have to do this a couple times to keep the bricks from falling automatically before you actually hit it with the wrecking ball. So just make sure you don't have too much of a gap. You have to have a small gap. Doesn't matter how small it is. I actually have a pretty. What I did was the gap that I used was the size of the grout that you see in between the bricks, or the mortar, if you will. So, and how I created this was I created one brick. Started on one side, created one brick, duplicated it, moved it over, and then I did the Shift D, and that remembers your distance. Okay, so I just went Shift D all the way down that row, and then I selected the whole row, and then duplicated, moved it up, and then did the Shift D all the way up the side of the wall to make the side of the wall. So. And then these posts here are just kind of placeholders to make it look a little nicer. So and I alternated them, meaning I just clicked on every other one and moved them over. Okay, and that's how I was able to hide that. So I have these end caps to hide that part right there. Okay, so you'll do that, and then you have your plane, which is pretty simple to create. And then it basically a sphere with a little handle, if you will, on the top. And then I have a cable at the very end that will attach, so it won't look like it's swinging from nothing. Okay. And we're going to show you how to use constraints. Now, constraints are a lot more limited in bullet physics, and you can't really move them, so you really have to pay attention to when I actually go through how to do the simulation. So you don't mess it up. Constraints aren't as easy as going in here to fields and solvers and just clicking on it and then moving the constraint around wherever you want to. Unfortunately, the constraints are set in the center, and I hope they change that sometime down the road, but right now we just have to deal with it. So we have to move our scene to where the constraint is centered. Okay, and that's not a big deal for this particular one. We can do that. Alright, that's it. That's for the modeling. So once you get everything modeled that I have here, go ahead and pause the video and you can see my grid size here with everything else. And I am set at centimeters. I'll go ahead and show you centimeters. And then down here to time slider, I've got that set up, play every frame, 24 frames per second times 1. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I'll see you then.